Hi guys, welcome to another episode of It Was Never Personal with me, Yami Walfred. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, I've said it in the intro, but I have to thank you again in the same, in the now, in the right now. But anyways, today I'm going to talk about something which I feel like every one of us has experienced firsthand. So, what I'm going to talk about is what to do when you get what I call life slaps. Life slaps, slaps you in the face. So, I'm here to talk about that and how to actually overcome that, how to overcome the painful experiences that we have gone through life, that we have experienced through our life, and how to actually move forward with that broken heart. We are also sweet sensitive souls who are in need of that love, that whatever, but sometimes life can slap you. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to focus on what I call the four core realizations, first of all, of how all of this is a hoax, and how you then get angry and then bitter, then cynical before you actually get to be in the state of joy, because you realize that it is a hoax. Therefore, do whatever you can do. So this conversation is very crucial, because I feel like most of my friends have always most of my friends, or let me say some of my friends, come to me and they always bring up the same story. It's always the same story. At the core of it is the same story, because they're talking about how they have experienced this and this, and then now they're like viewing life this. Remember I said perspective is everything. But at this point, their perspective is not really something which they have. It's not like that. They're really like, it's just they're acting from a point of, some are angry, some are bitter, some are actually getting forward to the state of joy, but some are still cynical. Yeah, and it's all it's a stage of life that I allow them to really go through, because life really slaps. So I'm really here to talk about what to do when you get to be slapped by life. Now, this is the thing. I'm going to share my personal experience, and then get through with it with you. So it all started when I was I think I was 14. 14, I was doing form 2. Yeah. Form 2, because my form 1 was very nice. It was very superb. It was really like my bar mitzvah. I was 13, so the first teen, right? No, it's not 12 teen. Yeah, it's 12, just 12. So 13. So it was the first year of me experiencing being a teenager. And it was very nice. I don't want to lie. I really loved it. I loved my 13th year. But I remember that it all came crumbling down, honey, when I was 14 years old. And by 14, I was doing form 2. And I remember how it reflected in my academics and everything. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but let me tell you something. For me, because I'm an A student, right? But then I started to get B's. I don't know about a C, but I'm sure that I started to get B's when I was 14. But I know that there was something happening. I was like, what is it? For a moment I thought it was like, it was because I don't know what I thought, because I don't remember right now. But I'll tell you what I really realized what was happening. What was happening actually was that, first of all, I was under pressure. I was under pressure. This is the thing. Being an A student, you're always told to you have to keep up. You have to keep up, and because of whatever that I got from my environment, my teachers, my parents, my friends, even myself, I also put myself under pressure of actually sustaining it. And that's the thing. It's easy to get whatever you want to get in life. It's easy to get whatever you want to get in life. It's easy to get an A, but it's the hard part is sticking with it. It's actually sustaining it. That is the hardest part. But anyways, I'm 14 and something is going on. I guess the hormones were kicking in. But I remember it was school holidays and I was at Dugui sitting alone in the, I don't know what you will call it. Is it the lounge? I guess it's a lounge. I'm in the lounge and I'm sitting by myself, And for this time, it was the first time ever I actually seated by myself. Remember, I don't have a phone because I threw out the phone. I was like, I don't need it. Okay, no, I didn't throw it out. It's just that it happened that it got broken. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to live without a phone because, again, there was so much pressure. There's still so much pressure from the society, especially on teens, but on everybody. But I feel like especially on teenagers, yeah, and young adults. But I remember I'm 14, sitting alone, and I remember going, this is actually the first time I'm alone by myself. You know, I'm alone by myself. And I had all of these feelings come over me, first of all, the feeling of being lonely and whatever, which was kind of like surprising or shocking because I've always spent time alone during the holidays. That's the thing, it's not like I go there and I'm like, oh, I have somebody to check. No, I've always been alone. But then, it's like even though I was alone, I was never really alone. I was busy with maybe the phone, maybe with the television, maybe with the I don't know. I was always busy. But this time around, because yes, I had lost my phone, it means that I was not onto socials and everything like that. And then I remember having this overwhelming emotion come over me. And then I felt, like I said, the first feeling was loneliness. And then I got to realize that I never really actually spent time alone, although I'm someone who's actually all alone by myself. So it was like the first time I was really by myself and it was awkward. I remember crying and it was all this crazy thing. It was like, oh my God, what's happening? So anyways, after some time, during the week, I mean, not just like after an hour, but during the week, I then realized how much it was. It's like now I started to learn how to actually be with myself and be comfortable being by myself and being with myself. And then I realized that, oh my God, this is actually good. But then one thing that I said was, I'm never going back to social media. And I never went back. Ugh, where did this podcast come from? Because I'm only back by the podcast, but personally, I'm not. And that was something that was an oath that I took at 14 years old. Yes, that I'm never going back to social media. I'm never going back to putting pressure onto myself, which took time for me to actually dust off. It took time because did the little me want some validation? He did, but it took time for me to really dust it off. But where I'm going with this, I said all that to say that I then realized that it is a hoax. What is a hoax? Life, not life like life, not the universe, but life that we have created. The social life that we've created, it's a hoax. It's a construct. It's kind of like they lied to us. It's not kind of like actually they lied to us. I remember sitting down there and going, oh my God, this is never going to end. This is never going to end because I was like, okay, so not only do I have to make sure that I don't get a B, I have to make sure that I get an A. Not only do I have to get an A, I have to get an A star. Oh my God. Okay, if I don't get an A star, I'm like, "Duh, duh, duh." It was so heavy. It was so heavy because of all the projections and all of the quotations that I always put around students who get an A star versus those who get an A. It's like it's not enough for you to just get an A. You have to, oh my God. And even other things, it was so, so heavy. I'm like, okay, but what do you have to do really? What do you have to really do in life to really get it? What is success really? Is it the cars? Is it the money? Is it this? Because trust me, I've tasted the sweetness of life, meaning that I've spent time around with people who have money and whoever. But then I was like, I don't, that's not what I want. If money brings you that kind of like, makes you so oblivious or whatever, I don't want it. I don't want it. I remember talking to my aunt and I was like, you know what? I don't know. I just feel weird about people who have who are so rich. It's like kind of like, I think most people who have money, because back then, remember, back then to me, success was money. You know what I mean? Success was money. This was before I learned that success is not, it doesn't equate to money. Wealth, it isn't money. We are confusing the two. A lot of people are in the business industry to make money, not success, because they confuse success with money. So they're in the business of making money, not the business of actually becoming successful, which is a topic for another day. But I just realized that it is all a hoax. It is a hoax. The illusion of money, it all came to me when I was 14, by the way. But I had a sneaking suspicion way before, let me say that. I had a sneaking suspicion that, oh my God, this is SARS. You mean that a paper can actually dictate who you are? Come on. Like if somebody's driving a Benz and somebody's driving a Demio or a Honda Fit, both of them are traveling from point A to B. Isn't that like the basic idea of getting a car? But it's just like a lot of things came over me, and I was like, it is a hoax. It is a hoax. But then you know what? I just brushed it off. I was like, okay, it's fine. Let me get going, because then I came back to school, I'm 14. I remember when I was 15 now. I'm done with my Form 3. And what did I get? Oh my God. It was the first time ever in my life I realized how much I used to be, or at the time, how much I was so dependent upon validation and what people thought of me. I was so consumed and so in it, so in the role of giving people this idea of me as an A-star student and as a whatever student. I didn't want to see a B in my transcript or my result slip, but then I got some B's in my JC 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 result slip. And I remember going, yeah, I was depressed, by the way. I know it's so weird, because back then I don't think people actually thought that it was. I still think people don't think that it's possible for a 15-year-old to say that depressed. It's kind of like your attention seeking and whatever. Oh my God, I don't even want to go back there, because I remember it's so awkward. It was so awkward, because during a time like that, I feel like people, your family members should be loving you, should be holding you, caressing you. But not everybody did that. But I understand that everybody was doing their level best at the time. They were just doing what they thought was best. But I mean, it wasn't really best. It was just so awkward and so, oh my God, it was so, I don't know. I wouldn't do that. But anyways, I then realized how much I was dependent upon being approved as someone who's actually intelligent and whatever. But the idea, it wasn't really about me. It wasn't about me. It was about, what do teachers think of me? What will students who know me say about me? What will people say about me? It was so heavy. And then, but this thing is that, the dark tunnel I was on really took me back to, it is a hoax, Wilfred. It is a hoax, because how do you, this is actually what was going through my mind when I was 15, by the way. Remember 13, 14, 15. Now I'm like, it's all a hoax, Wilfred. How does a paper, a result slip, a letter on a paper actually dictate my worth? Like if I got a B or if I got an A or whatever, how does that even dictate anything about my sense of worth? I mean, I'm worthy. I don't need to have like 7 A's or 9 A's to approve myself as someone who's worthy. I am worthy without even that. But it's so crazy how our society has made it such a very big, monumental thing. Like, oh my God, we only celebrate those who have straight A's. Oh, okay, no, we only actually put a star and the icing on the cake for those who have A stars. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, 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 no. And it doesn't mean thank you. And this is another thing that we are confusing. I think we confuse intelligence with smartness. I think we confuse a lot of things. We think someone who's able to remember a couple of words, a couple of whatever, or someone who's actually great at memorizing is actually intelligent. No, honey. No, 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 no. I've met them. I've seen them. I was one of them. No, it doesn't mean that you're intelligent. To me, intelligence is much more than really reading a paper today and then it's weird. It's weird. I mean, this were the things that were coming over. I was like, oh my God. So you mean that those kids who were actually studying all night, like from 3 a.m. in the morning when they had a test when they had an exam at 8 a.m., like they study from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're the ones who actually are more intelligent and whatever. Nah. I was like, something is not adding up. But anyways, it was more of like it put a stamp on it's all a hoax. But nonetheless, I got angry. Now that was the second stage. So I realized it is a hoax. They lied to me. Now I'm angry about it. I'm angry about it. And who am I angry to? First of all, I was angry to, we actually get angry to the world. It's like, oh my God, they lied to me. Urgh. And then you get angry at the world. But the truth of the matter is that you're angry at yourself. You're just only expressing the anger through someone else. And it is actually going to bite you back because remember, like I said, actually you are angry at yourself, which is fine. I understand. But now fast forward, I'm 16, I'm starting my form for my BGCSE, and I remember how bitter I was. I mean, not bitter in the sense of going bitterness to people, but I was just bitter to life. I was like, it doesn't make sense. Thank you. It just doesn't make sense because remember, it is all a hoax. It doesn't make sense. So what am I even doing over here? School then became something which was like a drag for me. It was like, okay, I'm just only doing it like a lot, everybody's doing it. There was no sense of motivation because remember, before my motivation was I have to get to school, I have to pass, I have to be able to get that job that I want to get. I have to be that CR. I have to do it. But why did I do it? I did it because people think that if you're a doctor, you're everything, or maybe I did it because I also did it because people think that if you're a student who shows up, who's actually on your thing, getting your shit together and getting 100 A's or whatever, getting more than 90%, then you are the it boy or the it girl at school, which I get. But I mean, to me, then I realized it's all a lie because it's conditional love. You're only loved, you're only proven worthy, you're only shown that respect, or you're treated as a human being only if you get an A. And I'm like, girl, but everybody over here is worth the love that you're giving to me. Why didn't you give it to all other people? Thank you. What happened to the sense of genuine humanity? But anyways, I'm bitter at life. I'm getting bitter at the concept of school, by the way. And then now the bitterness led me on to this cynical stage. So the stages are what? Life is a hoax, the realization of life is a hoax, and then I get angry and bitter, and then now I'm cynical where I go, it's all going to end bad. By the way, it's all like I don't even trust anybody. I remember that the persona that I adopted, which was and then I adopted the persona of Willianato. Willianato is very, very, very dark, by the way. Let me tell you that. It was the first time ever in my life, I guess I went really dark. Yeah, because I never really did. But it didn't last a long time, by the way. It was just like, I think it was 2 years or a year and a half. But I remember how all the bitterness and the cynical sense I had made me adopt this persona where I was like, yeah, my name is Willie Anero, and those people from BGCSA from high school, hey, they know me that I'm Willie Anero. And Willie Anero was this persona that I put of somebody who doesn't really care, who doesn't allow themselves to express emotions, someone who doesn't really I'm not in it to do it. I'm just in it to pass by it. It's like, yeah, this is just, I treated life as a means to an end, if I may say, because I was just doing everything just to get done with it. And I was like, think it's time to, but yeah, the time to live is about to get on it. Somebody comes to me and they're acting nice, I'll be like, what do you want? Like my behind at the back of my mind, I'll be like, what do you want? Like, you cannot be smiling with me just like that because I don't know you. I'm not interested in you. That, you know, it was so, so heavy, But I remember when I was 17, we are done with the BGCSE, and the BGCSE results come out, and there was this tinty there was like a pivotal view that I had in life. I felt something because I was away. Remember, all this time along, I was not into social media. I wasn't really onto anything, but I really learned. I started learning more about myself. I started delving more into therapy, into counseling. I started delving more into reading books, starting to meditate. I actually started meditating when I was 16 years old, but I think I officially started doing it maybe when I was 18 or whatever. I don't know. But I started meditating when I was 16, doing yoga. So even though I was angry, cynical, and whatever, there was this side of me. I think I attributed to my feminine side because my masculine side was really that cynical and that bitter and that whatever. But my feminine side was still there, and I still had some hope. I still believed in the love. I was like, but I mean, Wilfred, but they are people who really love you, that genuine relationships, really, So I delved more into knowing about myself. I was like, but at the end of the day, it's not really about what they say, but why did I allow someone to tell me, or why did I allow someone to dictate my sense of self? Why did I do that? I was just like, now I guess I have to really go deep into me. I really wanted to know about myself, so I really started going to counseling or guidance or therapy when I was 16, when I was in my BGCSE. Yeah. But I actually remember that I really wanted to do it in my junior high school, just that I didn't, things didn't really add up for me. I was always busy doing something. But then now in BGCSE, I really got myself secluded from the educational and the academic sectors. I didn't want to really be called upon to join a debate club, or maybe do a talent show, or maybe do, what do you call it? Or maybe join a maths and science fair. I didn't want to join them because it was like, I really need to focus on myself. So I guess I wasn't that really beta after all, so that was like at 17. So all of those things, they led up to me at 17 now having this epiphany of, but I can, if this is a hoax, then I can actually do whatever that I want. I mean, life is a hoax. It's what you make it. Life is a state of mind. It's not just a physical realm. So then I was like, okay, I guess I can make it what I want. And I remember going, I was here in Tonota, and I remember going, I want to start meditating. I want to wake up very early. I want to sleep early. I want to eat healthy. I want to exercise. I want to take care of my body. I want to take care of my mind. I've always had this huge obsession with the human mind, and I love exploring humans. I really love studying humans because I feel like humans are the only animals which will refuse to accept the fact that they're animals. So I'm like, okay, I like this special animals. Let me study them, and I'm a part of that animal species. So I really love the psychosis and studying the mind of a human being. I remember that during that time when I closed my BGCSE, which is much more of like 9 months, I remember that I treated myself as a pregnant lady. So I took those 9 months to really learn about myself, to do things that I really, really wanted to do. Now, that was a very big thing for me because all of my life, or most of my life, I spent time trying to please my parents, please my people around me, please the elders, please people just around me, even my friends. I would try and just say useless things that I didn't need to really say just to keep them laughing or happy or whatever. But that time when I spent alone, and now that I really realize that, okay, I'm actually an introvert who masquerades as an extrovert. So now, because I'm here and I'm far away from people, there's no social media, let me take time to really, to really caress my introversity. Is that a word? I don't care. I don't really care. I made it what introversity. I don't know what I said. But anyways, I took time to really I took time to really get more into myself. Nonetheless, did I know that now I was actually getting to that important, or actually getting to stepping into that last and important stage in all of the realizations that I told you. Realizing that, oh, life is a hoax, and then you get angry and bitter, and then you get cynical. But then most of people stay bitter, and some stay what? Cynical. But the most important stage here is get to the joy of it, realizing, oh my God, if life is a hoax, if it is what I make it to be, then I can do whatever I want to do. If all of this is a construct, then I mean, it isn't personal. Actually, that is what it was never personal is all about. Life is a hoax. So you can make it whatever you want to do. Because remember, like I said, I started getting early up in the morning, meditating, talking to myself, and doing things that I love. Oh my God, didn't life get so great to me? I really loved it. And by the way, now it's 2022. I'm heading to becoming 18 years. So then it was nice. It was so, so nice. I remember meeting, I've met RuPaul when I was 17. But I mean, like I said, my feminine side really kept me growing and really kept me building, adding those little brickstones into me becoming this joyful person that I have become right now, because I decided, you know what, if life is a hoax, then I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to dance, I'm going to sing, I'm going to do a podcast, I'm going to read books which I love, and I love spiritual books. Those books for me are everything. I'm into metaphysics. I read those books on metaphysics. I read self-help books, talk about Eckhart Tolle, talk about Marianne Williamson, talk about RuPaul, talk about Louise Hay. Oh my God, I just love it so much. I mean, I don't know. I remember how, and it's so nice how everything just kind of like, because life is actually what you create. It's up all in here. Thank you. Like, even though I'm saying that I was bitten, whatever, I remember that my bitterness led me to actually quoting, saying, it's all up in their head. I was like, it's all up in here. And then I was like, up, comma, up in the head. And I was 15. Thank you. Thank you. So looking back, because I always do self reflections. So looking back, I was like, but Wilfred, you weren't that bitter or bitter bitch. You were really you were like better. You were like better. Yeah. So it was so nice. It's still so nice right now. It's still so nice. So I just said all this to say, guys, keep on going. Keep on going. Life will slap you. I got my first slap when I was doing Form 3, and then when I was 15, and then I got another slap when I was 17. Slaps, by the way, are life lessons. It's not like life doesn't love you or anything. It's just a life lesson that you have to actually admit and then say, what am I to learn here? It's like a runny nose. Runny nose are always messages, try and take care of yourself a little bit more. So yeah, um I really, really wanted to say that whatever that you're going through, whatever that you're saying, because I really do have conversations with my friends, especially those friends that we have pulled more than 5 years together or more than 7 years together. And then they talk to me because I really know them, and then I see some of the things that I experienced in them, and then I go, okay, I have to let them be. But I get that some of them are bitter. I get some of them are cynical, because life is hard. Yes, life is hard. Don't get it twisted. Life is hard. No one is going to make it out of here alive. But life is also what you make it to be. Choose joy, choose the lighter things in life, choose lighter things to do. Just, do that. But okay, the question then becomes, Wilfred, how do I actually get to that stage of joy? Because right now I think I'm stuck in this cynicism, which I don't think will end any soon. Well, the first thing I do is just I say, know thyself, do what you love, do what you love. Like I said, do you like dark chocolate or you like milk chocolate? Do you like Fanta or Coke? Choose whatever that you like. Don't take Coke because your friends are taking Coke, honey. You know that Coke is in garbage. Yeah, sniffing is not good. I'm just joking. Oh my God, I'm not joking. Sniffing is not good. But do whatever you want to do as long as you love it, as long as you love it, as long as you're not hating anybody. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's another thing that I had to learn. Kindness. Kindness really took me a step further. It took me a step further because, through the time when I was cynical, bitter, and whatever, I could have easily been bitter to other people because I was bitter to life. But, kindness, I'm naturally kind by nature. I'm sensitive. So then I learned, okay, no, Wilfred, you cannot say this to that. Don't take your frustration out on other people. I'm not like those people who get hurt and they don't know that hurt. So I was like, no, I don't have to do that. I have to stay kind. So stay kind on top of that. And then another thing is self-talk. I feel like self-talk is very underrated, but I tell you, it's so profound. Self-talk, I don't talk about where you go and talk about yourself and say, oh my God, this is where if you have identified, if you have made an identity out of the misery that happened to you in the past, or out of this concept of yourself as somebody who's unlovable, whatever, that's not the self-talk I'm talking about. I'm not here to talk about why life has treated you unfairly. Self-talk, I mean, you actually sitting down and going, you sit down with your inner child. That's what I mean. You take your inner child and then you say, honey, today we're going to talk about everything that you think you are. You're going to take your thoughts, everything that you have identified with, and you put it over there. So it's kind of like, it's actually a detachment from your thoughts. You put them over, then you go. So earlier on, you felt bad because so and so said so. Why did you feel bad? Okay, let me tell you why you felt bad. You felt bad because 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? So that is it. For example, what is it? I remember like most and early in my self talks, I used to talk about how I felt unlovable. I mean, it didn't come to me as if I'm unlovable directly. That one came when came last year when I was 20. But earlier on, I was just like, I feel like something was wrong with me. You know what I mean? So it all led to that, and I had to. It all led to that. So I then had to actually rephrase it and correct it and say, Wilfred, you are worthy of love. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It was never personal. This slogan of it was never personal. Personal has always been with me before I even started the podcast. So that's another thing that you can do. Practice self-talk. Talk to that little child that you have, and don't it doesn't even it doesn't matter how much you take it, you can do it in the moment, in the heat of the moment when somebody just leaves, and then you do it right now. It takes 30 seconds. You can take 5 minutes. You can take 30 minutes, whatever you want to take, as long as you're having an honest, truthful conversation with that inner child, and he knows, she knows, it knows, they know when you're lying, they know when you're just saying the BS, and they know. So you have to be able to just allow yourself to be vulnerable with yourself and be honest. Be honest with that inner child, because he's still experiencing everything, all the mishigas, all the painful, all the misery of the past, and everything that you have said about yourself, because you and him are actually basically the same thing. But now as the adult, you have that ability to take care of him and say, honey, I understand that you're in pain, you've been pained, you know, yeah, they did you wrong, but right now we have the responsibility to get over. Let's choose joy. And then another thing which helps to get to the stage of joy is forgiveness. You know, forgiveness. What does forgiveness really mean? Like I said in season one, oh yes, honey, they season one. How dare you not know? You know, go and listen to it. Anyways, forgiveness, like I said, forgiveness is the ability to actually accept whatever that is, you know, whatever that is at this moment, you know. So actually being able to forgive yourself means that you forgive yourself for right now. You do it right now. You allow everything, you allow yourself to let go of everything that has happened. And you say, but I have this moment right now. You know, yes, they did that, but here right now, are they still doing it? No, where they're still doing it there. That it's all up in here, yeah, in the head. But if you don't forgive yourself, you're still going to carry it forward into this moment, and that's why you get to stay stuck in the bitterness. And that's another thing, you know, if you blame people, you stay stuck. You don't have the power to actually move forward. And then also forgive other people. You know, after you forgive yourself, forgive other people. Let them go, because we are one and the same thing. You know, we are one. I know that into our eyes or our ego, it's like we're separate, but we are one thing. And then the last thing, but not the least thing, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to actually get to that joyful state. Um, so there are a lot of things that you can actually do. There are a lot of things that you can actually do together. But like I said, the most important thing to do whatever that you love, choose joy. You know, if you love music, get to play the music. Get to play the music, because there are actually endless things that you can do to Wayne. Yeah. So there are actually a lot of things that you can actually do to get to that joyful space. But the last thing that I think is very important is to just choose joy. Choose joy. Because, you know, the ego, your ego, my ego, will always want to co-opt any situation which will lead into more pain, into more cynicism, into more bitterness, you know, into more getting into blaming other people. But choose, stay stuck with the joy, you know, because life is actually whatever that you want to make it. That's what I had for you today, guys. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and leave a question or something. Bye.